Airex pad. I only actually invested in 2 of these probably a year ago, and I don't know how the hell I actually did personal training without one. Okay, if that's not a review of the Airex balance pad, then nothing is. They're good for everything. Okay, half kneeling exercises, sitting on my butt, barbell hip thrusts. They're great for everything. They're about 70 bucks. They're going to last forever. I want to show 3 exercises or exercise variations that I find, I don't see it being used anywhere else. I haven't seen any other videos of how the Airex pad can actually help unique situations or just make things better. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Elijah. Okay, Elijah's actually really good at body weight push-ups already, but I want you to see, and this is very subtle, but for the women that, or even guys that do that melting candle or that heavy shoulder blade push-up, the Airex pad, okay, you're going to need 2 of them, can really be a good fix. So what I want her to do, she's going to do a push-up with body weight off of the mat. Now I want you to look how low she gets to the ground, okay, and how easy her shoulder blades glide. So go 5. 5, rest. Okay, how hard is that?
Fairly hard, I can feel it.
Okay, and do it on the Airex pad. Nothing changes except her hands are now on 2 Airex pads. Okay, rest. Now what do you feel?
Like my shoulder blades are closer.
Together at the bottom.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can see that, but right off the bat, she naturally went lower. If I'm watching her scapula and her shoulder blades, they glide a lot smoother. Now, you can just tell your client that you're just giving them a couple pads to take some pressure off of the wrist. I'm just going to be nice to you today. Take some pressure off your wrist. Okay? But I want you to watch what happens to your client when you actually put them on the pads. The first thing they're going to feel is that they actually don't like it, because it's now wobbly. But this is the beauty of it, and why this works is because if this is wobbly, I now have to work by setting my shoulder blades and my shoulder girdle better, and it's going to move better because I don't have the firmness of the ground to punch off of. If this was wobbly, I had better open and glide my thoracic the way I'm supposed to in a push-up. Okay? So the next one is the squat. So I'm going to use Tara, who's pretty beat up as is. Now, when I first met Tara and tried to get her to front squat or back squat, it was very difficult. She was always complaining about hip flexor pain. She was generally also always bouncing off of her pelvic floor and her hip flexor tension when she'd squat. Okay? Your hip flexors, your abs, your pelvic floor. It's like a cradle that most people can bounce off of. So if you have the inability to sit lower than parallel, which is just you being able to drop into your pelvis and have a decent flat back, it's because you're bouncing off of that cradle. Okay? So just to prove a point, I'm going to have Tara take this. She's going to front squat. Okay, regular stance, make sure those elbows are up. And she's just going to do 5 squats, and I want you to watch her squats. Okay, go a couple more and pause at the bottom for a sec. No, pause at the bottom. Okay, that's really hard to hold, right? What do you feel? Hip flexors. Okay, guaranteed a person who bounces off of their pelvic floor and their hip flexors are going to feel their hip flexors too much, and they're going to feel their lower back too much. Like that. Again, I'm not going to tell her why I'm making her do her squats now on the Airex pads. Set the elbows. Go 10 from there. pause just for a second. This is a much better posture. Do you feel your hip flexors as much?
No.
Do you feel them at all? Not really, okay? So if a person has the inability and they're getting stuck in a back squat, okay, because they're falling into their pelvic floor and basically they start doing a good morning at that point, or in a front squat, okay, especially they start rounding that pelvis too much, never load this variation. This is broomstick or body weight only to teach your client that nice posture, I'm below parallel, and I have a good posture, okay, back or front. It will teach them, again, for the same reason as the push-ups, that if my feet are wobbly, I have to relax in here and sink into it. I have a better glide, and as you could see, she had a way better posture, and somebody who typically feels pain in her hip flexors when squatting didn't feel anything. Now, last time. Just go on this way. Bent knee V-sit positions, I really like them for the abs and the core because I can see right away in my client whether or not they're doing it properly. Now what I mean by that is when a person sits on the ground in a bent knee V-sit, is my chest up, is my back relatively flat? Because most of the time when people don't have the ab and core and postural strength to hold this, it's here. Just killing my lower back. I need to be fairly long. Okay? So, what do? We do tight rotations from bent knee V-sit. We can do wide rotations or Russian twists, some people call them. Okay? One of my favorite exercises is an overhead alternate. I'm going to take a water bottle. I'm going to take a small medicine ball. I'm going to take something that I can grab. I'm going to go into that proud bent knee V-sit. Okay? And now I'm going to go overhead. Now, because I'm sitting on a hard ground, one, it's not comfortable. Two, it's actually pretty easy to do, okay, if I know what I'm doing with those exercises. So, when I sit on an Airex pad, again, I want you to sit on something soft, dear clients, because I'm being a nice guy. When in all reality, I'm just going to make it harder for them. So if they can actually handle all that ground-based stuff and keep a good thoracic posture, put them on an Airex pad, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Now my tight rotations, my wide rotations or Russian twists, and especially my favorite one, that bent knee Airex overhead alternates, is a lot harder to do because I'm wobbling. So if sitting in a V-sit is too easy for your client, throw them on the Airex pad and it's pretty much golden. Now last trick. If you have an office chair that will fit the Airex pad because it doesn't have arms or the arms are wide, you don't want to crush it or else this actually doesn't work. Okay? If you can sit on an Airex pad in an office chair, for the same reason as me being here, I'm active. I can't relax. I don't like sitting on stability balls at an office chair. It's the absolute worst idea I think anybody ever came up with. But on an Airex pad, I'm just going to add that to my chair. Obviously make sure the rest of it's ergonomically correct as far as your knee bend and your height of your chair. But add this to your seat. One, it's cushy, it's cozy. Instead of gravity playing on me for 8 hours a day, what's going to happen is it's kind of fun. I like being in my office chair all day. I am active and engaged in my midsection all day long. If it gets tiring, go back to your boring chair. I guarantee within 10 minutes you're going to want to sit back on this thing and be active. If you sit for a living and your lower back hurts you, buy an Airex pad and put it on your office chair.